Aloha, Monroe with Love Hawaii Villas, and today we have an important update for you about Hawaii's Safe Travels program. Before we jump into the updates, please take a moment and hit that like button. Please also subscribe to this channel so that you can get all of the latest updates from our team about Hawaii travel, tourism, and vacation planning. So, as you may know, Hawaii's Safe Travels program was rolled out on October 15th. What this program allowed travelers to do was to get a negative COVID-19 test prior to arriving in Hawaii, and by so doing bypass the mandatory 14-day quarantine. Over the past month, it's worked very well, and we have had 250,000 people come to Hawaii, a good chunk of travelers, and then also returning residents or locals who had traveled away and come back. And what we found is it's working very well. It's an effective program. It's not leading to a spike in cases. There are very, very low incidents of people coming to Hawaii that actually end up testing positive. And so we're super excited that this is working well, and we're very grateful that travelers are being compliant and going through the steps necessary to be able to come back to Hawaii. You may have a lot of questions about this program. There is a lot of information about it online, and we can include important links and references here in the description of this video, and you can reference those websites to get all of the details and the latest updates. We wanted to put an update out today and let you know about a couple of important things, one of which is that they did announce recently this week in the press conference they had that they are going to resume a travel opportunity for Canadian travelers. This is great for those from Canada who have been waiting patiently or maybe not so patiently to come back to Hawaii, and that will roll out, I believe, about mid-December. And so you would need to travel via WestJet or Air Canada, and you can go to those companies' websites to get more information and learn more about the Safe Travels program for Canadian travelers. That's very exciting, as we know that Canadians love coming to Hawaii and that they do make up a pretty significant percentage or portion of Hawaii's travelers. Whether they're going to Oahu or Maui or Kauai or Big Island, they will be welcome back to Hawaii, and I encourage you, if you're from Canada, to take a look at that. Be sure you're familiar with the Safe Travels program, and then also the requirements for you specifically as citizens of Canada, and what you need to do to be able to smoothly come to Hawaii for some time here in the islands. Secondly, there is a slight update made to the Safe Travels program and announced by the governor and lieutenant governor in the press conference. What this pertains to is the need to come to Hawaii with that negative test. There have been a very small percentage of travelers who have come in the past month who did not have that negative test result by the time they got here, and were waiting for that to come through. Typically, those were people who maybe procrastinated a little bit, maybe didn't quite get it done early on in that window of time when you need to get that test done in order to meet that window of time to have that negative result. What we've seen is literally 95% of travelers who have come in the past month have had the negative test result, no problem, have had it in place, uploaded to the app or on the site, printed test results with them, and it hasn't been an issue. So what they're going to do is they're just going to be a little more strict on that, where they're requiring that in order to bypass the quarantine and not be subject to the 14-day quarantine, you need to have that negative test in place, the negative results, if you will, in place within the site, uploaded in the site. And then we also recommend printing out a hard copy of it just to have with you. That way when you get here, it's a very smooth and seamless process to go through the screening, essentially, where they check in, they pull it up, they scan the QR code on your phone, and then you're good to go. And if you follow the timeline, and as long as you use a preferred testing partner and look at that timeline and how it needs to work, then you should be just fine. What we're seeing is that if people procrastinate that, they don't prepare properly, or they don't really know what they're doing, maybe they don't take the time to kind of read through and understand how that works and what's required, those are the ones that are likely to have issues where they're going to be under the gun a little bit and not maybe getting that result back in time. Naturally, all the approved testing partners understand how the program works, and they know that they need to get the results back to travelers in time. So you can use them with confidence, and our recommendation is just to make sure you plan ahead, make sure you know which partner you're going with, how that partner works, when you can, the earliest possible time that you can do it without doing it too early, and then get that done in the earliest part of that 72-hour window before your departure. That way you will ensure you can get your negative test results on time. You won't have to worry about it, because what will happen is if travelers come to Hawaii and if they don't have the negative test results, they will be subject to the 14-day quarantine, and they're not going to really let you have that leniency there, because they don't want to have a lot of time elapse between the testing, the results, and traveling here. They want it to be that tight window, that 72-hour window, as you'll learn about, as you read about the program on these different sites and links that we'll share in the description. And so this past month, as they kind of rolled it out, they were allowing people to quarantine for a day or 2 or 3 while they're waiting for their results to come back, and they're not really going to allow that anymore. We don't know at this time if they will allow travelers coming to Hawaii to take a test on arrival or anything like that. For instance, let's say you're a little bit behind schedule in the mainland or wherever you're coming from, and you didn't quite get the test done early enough and everyone else is good to go and you're traveling but you don't have that result yet. We don't know if they will have an option for people like that who haven't received their negative test back to actually take a rapid test on arrival. We do think that would be a great idea and something that would be awesome if Hawaii could implement that. However, it doesn't appear that that will be happening at this time. So again, this is just to inform everyone, to keep everyone in the loop. We have some messaging going out to our guests who have already booked so that they're aware, and everyone is already aware of the program, but I think it's just important to understand that you really need to make sure that you get that negative test before you come and that you line that up with your preferred partner. I personally used the Vault Health program when I went back to the mainland for a quick trip, came back, and the Vault Health one is one that you order and have it shipped to you, and then it is a saliva-based test that you do via Zoom with the test administrator, and then after you do the saliva test in the little tube, you put it back in the envelope, and then you send it off. That's a great option if you're struggling with getting a local contact or getting a time to do the test. It is about $150 per person for the Vault Health test, and you have to order those tests separately for each person. But my wife and I did that. It worked really well. It was a really interesting process. It was very effective for us. And I have a whole separate video series or video on that I'm soon to be publishing. You can feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about specifically the Vault Health option. There are a number of other options that may be just as effective or even easier for you. I would just say, hey, if you're not sure what to do and if the others aren't panning out, the Vault Health one seems like a sure bet, as long as once you do that test, you get it turned around and dropped back in the UPS envelope and back to them. One little side tip on that, if you do end up doing the Vault Health test, is on the outside of the envelope to write STAT Hawaii on it. When you write STAT Hawaii, S-T-A-T, and then Hawaii, on that outside packaging that they've provided to send the test back to Vault Health Labs, what they do is when the lab receives that, if they see STAT Hawaii on it, they will expedite that and have a quick turnaround. They're doing quick turnarounds anyway, so it's not like really an issue, but we did that, and you get an email notification when the lab receives the package, and then it was just a short time later that we got the results, and we had plenty of time, so it was within a very doable window of time, and we were even in a remote, somewhat rural area, and we were able to get that done even though we weren't in like a metro type area. So those are the updates for now. We just encourage guests to be aware, make sure you understand the program, and don't stress about it. Just know that the preferred partners know what they're doing. You just need to educate yourself a little bit about how the program works, and just know and rest assured that it's working really well for 95% of the people, like I said. And so as long as you're following those protocols and processes, jump on there, get everyone registered, get your tests lined up, then you should be good to go. And then we have a little protocol there where if for some reason you've done everything you're supposed to do and done it within the time you're supposed to do it and it still didn't come back in time, then we are doing something for our guests that have booked with us that still enables them to get credit on their travel for that same unit. But again, that should be very rare instance that that's occurring, because the program does seem to be working very well. Please feel free to reach out to me or to our Director of Reservations, Amber Schoenberg, if you have any questions about the Safe Travels program and how that works. And we'll continue to keep you updated as we learn more. And we look forward also to welcoming guests back from Canada as well. We've been doing this over 10 years, and we've loved having our Canadian travelers here as well. We know that many people have enjoyed coming back to Hawaii recently, and even though we are still being careful with masks and with the social distancing and everything going on, it's been awesome to see so many people be able to enjoy Hawaii safely. We are one of the safest places to be in the entire country, and hopefully we can keep it that way by abiding by the rules and things that we have here. But it's a great opportunity. The weather is fantastic. It's exciting winter and holiday season coming up, and we'd encourage you to check it out, check out the options. We still have some availability in our properties for the Christmas and New Year's holidays. We're pretty much 100% occupancy already for the Thanksgiving holiday coming up next week. But we really appreciate everyone's support, and we appreciate you supporting Hawaii in general, not just our business, but also Hawaii tourism and the small businesses in Hawaii. You know, it has been a very difficult year for everyone, and especially for Hawaii being so isolated and having travel virtually shut down for a long time with a very strict quarantine in place. So please do consider supporting us here in Hawaii by coming out, by traveling with the airlines, by staying in our accommodations, by frequenting the local restaurants. We definitely need it and welcome it, and look forward to welcoming you and your family back to Hawaii. And we appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. Please leave your questions and comments and everything in the comment section below. We'll definitely respond to everything that you put there, and let us know if you have any other questions, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Aloha.